Hey yogis, welcome back to my channel. My name's Kelsey. I'm Kelsey Yogi here on YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. Today we are not getting on our hands, but we are prepping the shoulders in order to be able to get on your hands. So if you're looking to do your handstand or your forearm stand, back bending, or just have really healthy shoulder movement in general, you gotta take care of those shoulders. They are a strong joint, yes, but they're very vulnerable because they have such a wide range of motion, and we want all of that range of motion. So we're gonna keep them strong and flexible at the same time. But if I had to pick one, strength? I'd go with strength. Strength over flexibility. But we still have to keep them moving in all those directions. So I have lots of props today, and they're not all absolutely necessary, but use what you can. Some of my very favorite props for working with shoulders is just the floor and the wall, and almost everybody has that kind of space. So the first thing that I do when I'm warming up my shoulders is puppy pose. So Anahata Asana, just coming onto your knees, walking the hands away. And in the beginning, having the knees a little wider and having your arms maybe up on the couch or on a dining room table chair, that might be a little bit easier rather than getting so low. But totally up to you how you want to do your puppy pose. You can even do this on the wall. So starting to just slowly walk the hands away and dropping the chest towards the floor. So just in the beginning, maybe forehead might be better, and then working on chin, and then eventually getting the chest and the throat to go down towards the floor. Slowly get those armpits to start opening up, working all those rotator cuff muscles to find some length in them, and just slowly using your breath sinking down. And be patient, So like I said in the beginning, it may just be forehead. That way you feel supported here. You might even put a yoga block underneath your head. Because if you have really strong shoulders, and I know some of the gymnasts that I work with for yoga have really strong shoulders, that would be nearly impossible. So we have to give ourselves that grace and go a little slow. So a block here, or maybe under the chin. Be kind to yourself, slowly starting to open up the fronts of the shoulders. All right, now while we're down here, let's just go ahead and come all the way down onto our belly. And I'm just gonna start to open up the fronts of the shoulders in a different way. So even with arms open to a T, if that's too uncomfortable for you in these goalpost or cactus branch style arms, and then what I'll have you do is if we're gonna work on the left shoulder, we're gonna take the right leg up and over and stretching out the front of that left shoulder. As you can see, I have my right foot down, giving myself a little bit of support, and my right hand is staying for a little bit of support on the floor. I'll go to the other side so you can see. Right arm either straight out to the side. That can be a little vulnerable for some people. I personally like the cactus branch a little bit better, but maybe you like a little bit more with the arm straight. Play with it. See where you feel the best comfortable, with a little bit of discomfort, stretch. Okay, so right arm down. I want the shoulder down if at all possible, elbow down, wrist down, taking that left foot up and over. And maybe that doesn't come all the way down, it rests on a pillow behind you. Maybe you can touch down, and then you can really push the elbow and the wrist into the floor, relaxing, breathing into the shoulder. And then nice and easy, come back through center. All right, since we're already on the floor, let's work a little bit more. Getting a little bit more strength and that full range of movement. So we're gonna work on some shoulder cars. All right, so let's start with just reaching the arms all the way up and overhead and lift the thumbs. So I want you to lift your thumbs. Let's just go over 5 or 10 times. So chin or nose down on the ground. You can, again, use that block if you're not quite there and you need a little bit more space. I'm working on chin, and just lift thumbs up. Do 5 or 10 times. And this may not be hard for you at all, and that's great. I'm so glad that it's not. If it's easy for you, then do a couple rounds of that. And now, so they've been in this straight position. Let's open them up like a Y. Still, thumbs are up. Let's do 5 or 10 times here. Lift. Feel this strength coming from the mid-back, from those muscles that wrap around the shoulder blades. All right, so we did the I, we did the Y. Let's open them up to a T. Still, the thumbs are up, the chin is down, and lift those arms up. Feel that between the shoulder blades. And then the last one, reach the arms all the way back, palms up, and lift them. Almost impossible to do thumbs up here, so just palms up will be fine. Great. All right, now that the hands are down by the sides, let's just bring them behind the back and press the fists together. So hands behind the back, press the fists. At first, let's just drop the elbows down. Now let's just lift the elbows a few times. So lifting the elbows, a little squeeze, activating the upper back. Noticing already for me, a little bit more tension in the front of that right side. All right, now that we have the fist pressing lightly, nothing too intense, I want you to see if you can lift your hands away from your back. So just lifting those hands up. Do that a couple of times. Good. All right, so now with the hands lifted, let's start to open them up nice and slow. There's going to get to be a point that we can't go any further, and slowly get that rotation, reach in front of you, bring the hands back behind the head. I gotta drop my forehead down, elbows drop, elbows lift, and now let's lift the hands off the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, keep them lifted, and now reach the arms straight up overhead. All right, now we're gonna start to reach back behind our back again. So keeping the arms really extended, reach, reach, reach. We're gonna hit that part about a T, and let's start to flip the palms up. Swim them behind the back. See if you can press the fists without letting them touch the low back. Now lower them down. Good, drop the elbows, lift the hands, and repeat. Swim the arms all the way out to the sides, find that rotation. Reach them all the way up overhead, maybe interlace the fingers. Bring them behind the head, keep them lifted. Now drop them down, lift the elbows, and let's do that one more time. Lift the hands, reach the arms up and overhead, and start to swim them back behind you. Go slow. So this can be really intense on one side and super easy on the other, and you probably know the shoulder that you're struggling with. Drop the hands down, drop the elbows, and release. So that's a really great shoulder mobility drill. I know for me that right side is like, oh, it doesn't like to internally rotate. So I know where I need to put my work in, and it's definitely there. All right, another fun one. And with this you can use, I have a broom handle. I had a broom that rested too much and the broom fell right off. I think it might have been a mop. So I saved it. You could also just get a dowel from Home Depot or Lowe's or something like that. That would work. Either is fine. And again, we're gonna work on the strength of those shoulder blade muscles. So laying all the way down, rest your chin, reach your hands up and overhead, grab onto your dowel, lift it up and overhead, and then bending the elbows, bring it back. I have to drop my forehead down at this point. Squeeze the elbows down, lift them back and overhead, extend, lower the dowel. Take a resting breath. Okay, back on the forehead, lift, bend the elbows back, straighten the arms, lower it down. Good. Let's do that 2 or 3 more times. You're getting about 5 of those. All right, lift, bend, straighten, lower. 2 more. Lift, squeeze it in, straighten, and lower. Last one, lift, bend the elbows, straighten it back out, and lower. Nice job. There we go. All right, so again, keeping that dowel. I really love this stretch because I personally have a lot of tension through my pec and the front of my shoulder. So I love doing this stretch. It feels super nice to me, but please go really slowly when you're doing this one. So I'm gonna bring the dowel behind my right arm with my left hand. So it's behind, in front of the elbow, and I'm gonna wrap my hand around, okay? So hopefully that makes sense. Behind the shoulder, behind the elbow, the hand wraps around and kind of grips. Okay, so then with this, I can give myself a little bit of stretching torque. I'm gonna take my left hand and just start to lift. You can do this straight out to the side, or you might feel a little bit more if you do it to the front of the body. You just kind of play with it, see where you get a nice good stretch. Try it out to the side now. Ooh, that feels good. Go slow. Not saying you can't go deep and you can't get a really good stretch here, but this is not a place to get all wild and crazy and show off. Go slow, notice what you feel, breathe. Nice big stretch. Okay, second side. So again, I kind of bring my arm in front of the dowel, elbow is in front, shoulder is in front, wrist comes behind, and then I use my right hand to, let myself get that good stretch, lifting it up as much as I can. I do like to keep the elbow in line with the shoulder. Rather than letting the elbow come down here, now a nice straight line. You can even use a broom that still has the broom on it. That would be fine, especially if you keep the dusty end at the bottom. I'm gonna do the front now. Good. This one doesn't feel too bad. My left shoulder is much healthier. I'm right-handed, so I've probably just abused my right arm more than I should have. And that just happens, not even just with yoga or lifting weights, but just in life. We have a dominant side and either it gets a little bit more beat up or we have a weaker side that we just don't engage the way that we should. All right, so I'm gonna set the dowel down, your broomstick down, and now I'm gonna do the opposite stretch. So, so I'm gonna kind of lay on my side. It would be nice to have a yoga block. I'm gonna grab my yoga block. So that can be my little pillow. If you have a pillow, that might be nicer. So starting with the arm, I'm using my left arm, it's bent like a cactus branch, and I'm going to lift it up towards the ceiling and then start to drop it down towards the floor. Again, keeping the elbow and the wrist in line. And just working on gently, giving that a little bit of stretch. Ooh, this time really stretching out the back of the shoulder. I have a cement floor, so I really gotta make sure that I stay on the mat. Ooh-wee. Gentle pressure. I'm gonna see if I can lower my head and get a little bit more of a stretch. That'll do it. All right, and the second side. The arm that you are lying on is the arm that is getting stretched. I'm sure I'll feel a ton on this side since it's my right, so starting with the hand facing up towards the ceiling, elbow and shoulder in line, and just a little gentle pressure. I notice that my elbow starts to drop in. Again, you're not just pushing the hand down, kind of push from the wrist. Then go a little bit lower, maybe making it a little bit deeper. Ooh. Get a stretch even into the elbow at this one. I wish I knew all these fancy names for all these different stretches and things that I do, but I picked them up here and there over the years. Some at class from my teacher, some here on YouTube, some of them on Instagram. I just kind of have gathered things along the way, and that's one of the things that I was like really liked and enjoyed. Okay, so let's go to standing now and using either the dowel or the broomstick. I personally like the broomstick for this because I have pretty tight shoulders, because I think they're pretty strong. I need a little bit more space, and this is something you could also do with a strap. So, but I'll show you first with the broomstick, just lifting it up and overhead. You can use this to pull to the side, which this is nice, opening up that side shoulder here, and both sides, of course. And then making some circular motion, so just kind of, you know, working that broomstick up and overhead, guiding it in one direction, making big kind of infinity shapes or circular shapes, and of course going in the opposite direction, which always feels weird. That second side, the second direction never feels as natural as the first one does. And then even working on just opening up the pecs, opening up again the fronts of the shoulders. I like to do this one in front of a mirror if at all possible, because sometimes one wrist likes to kind of turn and manipulate and compensate, really, that's the right word. And I want to make sure that the wrist, the elbows face the same direction so that this right shoulder of mine can't cheat, which maybe you can see better than mine. Nice and easy coming behind and overhead. And go slow with this. So this is a nice shoulder stretch, but it's nothing that you can just jump right into. Again, making sure my wrists are doing the same thing so I'm not cheating here. Easy to do. Okay, so the way you can do this with the strap, and you can take any yoga strap. Honestly, you could use a men's tie or a rope. It really doesn't matter that much. A strap is just kind of nice. I have added a 2.5 pound plate onto mine because I needed a little bit more of a shoulder stretch, but I wouldn't start there. Start using just your strap and then adding a little bit of weight, and you don't need much. If you even have a 1/2 pound or a pound, start very small. To me, 2.5 pounds when my shoulders are that open it makes the shoulders feel very vulnerable, but it's an amazing stretch and I love it. Again, another one that I do in front of the mirror because for one, I don't want to crack myself in the head. So please be careful if you added weight and go slow, but it's a nice stretch.
So coming up and overhead, again, don't crack yourself in the head. You'll find the distance that you need your arms to go to. Allow your chest to open. This is where I need that mirror because I know something changes in my wrist at that point and I'm not going in the same exact direction as my left hand. So just going really slow to make sure that I'm trying to move through equanimity, balance from side to side, right through here. So where do you feel that tension, that really intense, I better breathe right here, go slow. Make those muscles work and release and just notice the difference. When we move slow, we can become much more of an observer. And the more that you work in this position, the more you're going to be able to shorten your stance or shorten your strap stance and make it a little bit more intense. Now, the more that you arch your back and drop your chest in, the less of a shoulder stretch you're going to get. So be careful. All right, let's see. One of the other things I grabbed was my elastic band. It's just an Amazon brand. And I really like using this for overhead presses. Again, you're really wanting to make sure that the strength from the shoulders, I mean, yes, obviously, we got strong deltoids, strong rotator cuff muscles, but these muscles in the back, they have to be working for you. If those shoulder blades are not engaging, you're going to put your shoulder in a position where you could likely get injured. So I've been doing a lot of overhead pressing just to make sure that my shoulders stay nice and strong. And if you have weights, you can use dumbbells, you can use a bar. I used a plate before too. There's really great tutorials here on YouTube. I wish I could think of the name of it. If I think of it, I will definitely add it in the details in the description. But you can use a band as well. So making sure when you are doing those overhead presses that you're keeping the core engaged. So glutes are engaged, tail's tucked underneath you, belly is pulled in, chest is lifting, and you're taking that strap right overhead. Again, I use the mirror because I like to make sure that this elbow is not flaring out or doing something weird and that I'm staying balanced from side to side. I don't lift a lot of weights, but I do have some instabilities in my glutes and in my shoulders. So if I do lift at all, it's those two areas. So make sure that you are working on the strength. If you're feeling like there's some weaknesses and you notice any vulnerabilities like I mentioned when you're doing those big stretches, okay? So this is another way that I do my overhead presses. And once this, you want to wait on this one until you're nice and warmed up. This one's really great if you're getting ready to do some back bending because it opens up the shoulders quite a bit too. So this is a 15-pound weight. Everybody is going to work in different places, but I like the plate or the dumbbell for this because we're going to stretch. So I'm going to show you from the side. You want to lift it up. So this is kind of a neutral position. This is elevated. You'll notice see how the space around my ears? Now I've closed that space and I've really elevated those shoulder blades. So you want to just lift up and then really elevate. Notice how much of a difference that is. So maybe even just doing those shrugs 20, 25 times, even more, getting that strength in there. Once you're feeling nice and strong, we're going to lift up. Make sure you have your dumbbell really good while they're elevated. Then we're also going to open up. You may need a spotter for this if you're feeling a little bit weak. Please be careful. I don't want you to get hurt. So lifting up, elevate even further, engage the core, open up the fronts of the shoulders. Like I mentioned, this one is really great if you plan on doing any back bending because the shoulders really have to open for that. Lift, elevate, and stretch. I'll do this 20, 25 times before I back bend, and it makes a huge difference, especially if it's something that you're working on flipping your grip for. Elevate when you're doing this and keep them elevated the whole time. Okay, last thing I'm going to show you, besides maybe a puppy press on the wall, because I love that so much, is, oh gosh, this is the wrong size. I'll do it kneeling-ish. So this is normally something I would have grabbed my shorter roller for, I don't know what I was thinking. I like to press my hand into it because that kind of helps me to keep myself facing forward. Otherwise, when we stretch, we tend to kind of like open ourselves up. But by pressing one hand down onto my roller, it kind of forces me to stay facing forward. So just reaching the arm all the way up, as high as you can, flipping the palm away. I'm still pressing this left hand down so that I can't open up to the side. Ratchet up. bring it all the way down and back up. And now let's reverse that. So maybe starting with the palm up this time, bring it behind you, reach. Keep pressing that left hand down, reach it all the way up and overhead, as high and extended as you can. And then switch hands. Press down with that right hand, reach the left hand out in front of you, up. Keeping the hips and the chest squared. And once you can't reach any further, flipping it away. And down and around, up through center and reversing that, reaching behind you. Sweeping the palm up, all the way up and overhead. And back down. So doing that a few times too. Those are some of the things I really like to do to warm up the shoulders before I do any major back bending, before I do anything that's going to encourage me to flip my grip. And if I've had any just major shoulder pain discomfort, even working in Panchamayurasana and handstand, it asks a lot of the shoulders to really open up, to be strong and to be flexible. So we got to kind of take care of those shoulders first before they can take care of us in our postures. But real quick, I'll show you how I do puppy pose on the wall. This isn't a great angle, but just hands on the wall and standing 2 feet or so from the wall, depending on how much your back can bend. You may be very close or even farther away. And just like we did on the floor, kind of dropping the chest in, reaching with the chin, and even looking up if that's possible. And reversing that, doing that a few times. Drop the chest. Look up, push into the hands and the elbows, stand all the way back up. And you can do that side stretch on the wall too. I really think it feels nice standing, probably even better than on the floor. For me, I like it. So having that arm bent or out to the side, and nice and easy, turning the hips and the chest away, and just kind of settling in, not rushing through this. Now for me, I like having the elbow and the shoulder in line, but you might feel more of a stretch here if you drop the elbow lower or lift it up nice and high, depending on where you're tight, right? And then getting a nice nerve stretch. So straightening the arm out, flattening the palm, then walk away. So the palm is still flat on the wall. Now this is a different sensation because this is nerve flossing, this is stretching out that nerve, so you may feel a little strange in the fingers and in the hands. Go move slowly, listen to your body, but that's kind of a nice nerve stretch. So let's do the other side. Starting with the arm bent, slowly turning the chest and the hips away. I like having my hands just resting on the wall. It gives me a little bit of, security, safety. I'm taking care of my shoulders, moving slow. Again, maybe a little higher, maybe a little lower. Straightening the arm out. Walk away. Ooh, I thought of one more thing I'll show you. So I really like stretching before back bending to open the shoulders with the wall. I wish the angle was changed, but reaching the arms all the way up overhead. I'm standing, again, 2 feet from the wall, arms up overhead, and then reaching back, planting the hands. So that's not a very deep back bend, at least not for me at this point. You don't want it to be super deep because what you're going to do with the arms behind you is drop your butt. If you've ever seen an alien version of a back bend, they kind of have that extra bend to the knees and the hips drop down. You're going to be doing that with the wall. So starting with this gentler back bend, walk the hands down a little bit, and then take a seat. Ooh. There you go. So I'm sure there's lots of other great shoulder stretching exercises, mobility drills, flexibility stuff that you can do. But what I would have you do always is just keep working a little bit at a time. Give your shoulders a couple minutes a day, especially if you're asking a lot of them. Listen to your body. Look for that balance from side to side. I know it's not going to be perfect. We have a strong side, we have a weak side. That's normal. But give that weak side a little extra work. Give that tight side a little extra stretch. And just look to keep bringing your body closer to a little bit more equanimity and balance like we mentioned. So hopefully you have some of these kinds of fun things at home. If not, you have the wall, you have the floor, you probably have a broom, you probably have a block or at least a big book. Make what you have work for you. That's it for today, guys. Please let me know what you thought, if that helped you, what kind of drills you like doing, what kind of videos you want to see out here next. Make sure that you like and subscribe. That helps me so much. I really appreciate the feedback. I love having you guys tag me on Instagram, showing me what you're doing. I'm so proud of you and all the work you're getting in.
Drink your water, be kind to others. Have a great day. Namaste.